Okay, so there's different levels of growth and understanding, and so we'll put it this way, there's a lot of different pyramids out there run by different people. And as you ascend, depending on who you work with, what you identify as, what tribe you're with, whatever you want to call it, you ascend up, and the final ascension is clear. From what I understand in the history of the pyramid, there's only been 5 other people that have survived, that have been known to have completed and survived the, whatever you call it, a ritual. And what it is that when you become clear, everyone else becomes aware of you. So it's kind of like Sauron's eye coming into understanding of who you are and being able to see you on a consistent basis for the course of about 18 months. So it's essentially an 18th month hazing ritual where all the other pyramids that are out there are aware of you, and they proceed to chew you up, spit you out, try to pick you clean, and throw away the carcass. That's kind of the ritual. And so when you become clear, which I guess I'm number 6 because I survived the ritual. It stopped about, I'd say about 6 to 8 months ago was the deadline in which the 18 months had gone up and completed. What that had done was, it chewed me up pretty bad, but I was able to maintain a lot of things that I had built over the course of the last 25 years still intact. So, what you've seen over the course of the last couple years in the world has partially been because of what you would say greedy other people trying to pick me apart, chew me up, spit me out. What I can tell you right now is that I had no part in anything that Biden had done as the president. Matter of fact, I have written proof to show that every fucking thing I said for him not to do, he did the exact opposite. So we'll put it this way, if I was president of the United States at the time that Biden was president, then the country would have not been run into the ground and shit on so badly. Everything would have been done correctly. He had such a good record of screwing things up and doing everything wrong that you could tell that he didn't, he had such a bad track record, you could tell it was intentional. Anyways, that was the devil that was doing that, and I know that for a fact because the same people that were running him were also trying to harass me. And so this is something that would happen that would be really fucking weird, and I would call it coincidences, except it happened on a regular basis. So they'll actually use the news to attack people and try and drive them nuts, which is what they tried to do with me. They would put out these public announcements on the news about something going on, a public event, kind of like the Hunter Biden laptop, right? That was a big thing, the Hunter Biden laptop, and then him smoking crack and stuff like that. And fortunately, I never got into any of the crap that idiot was doing. But I had Irish people around me, which is the same family bloodline as Biden, and they were trying to get me to give them their computer so they could look at it. And like with something that would happen with Biden or Hunter would shortly show up in my life, and someone would be asking stupid questions about that. And it's like, what in the fuck are you guys trying to mirror in my life, right? And so it's kind of the mentality of fractal imaging, but that's witchcraft. That's witchcraft. They're trying to complete a satanic ritual to take a person who has been celibate for 15 years and lived a very clean, nice life, corrupt them, pollute them, and harm them. Basically lie about them, right? Lie, cheat, and steal. And that's what that was about, because I would run into these people and they would try to intentionally damage me. But it also had to do with what was going on with current events, to the point where it would just routinely happen over and over again. And so you would call that a satanic ritual. If you ever catch yourself in that sort of situation, which I would say is very few and far between, because how many people can they really do this to? Not very many. If you ever catch yourself in a situation where you were watching the news or you're watching current events, and all of a sudden, shortly after you watch what's going on with the upper echelon that are out in the public eye, whether it be government, politicians, famous people, anyone that shows up on the TV, and all of a sudden people start coming into your life trying to mirror those events. You need to be very careful, because what you're dealing with is the higher order level of Satanists trying to take a pure soul and corrupt it, whether they have to lie through it or entice them through bullshit. Anyways, that's kind of something that you need to know about when it comes to the way that the dark and the light work, right? So that would be what Satanists like to do. They revel nothing more than in corrupting a pure soul. And fortunately, I have strong spiritual boundaries, and my celibacy for 15 or 16 years now has been something that's really helped out with that. I would definitely say that. I wouldn't say it's like my Samson and Delilah story, because that's not what I derive my strength from. What I derive my strength from is God, is the Most High. And sometimes I'll say things that are foul and not of God, but I repent immediately. I said something foul this morning and I repented immediately. I said, sorry God, repent for that. It's an old bad habit. And we'll just put it this way: I had some people in my life at some point in time that were not good influences, and old habits die hard, right? So fortunately, anything that I had that's a bad habit was something that I would say is verbal and not physical or in action. So that's kind of a nice thing, right? Having a foul mouth is like the worst sin you can have as far as things go. Well, that's good, because actions speak louder than words. And so when you have faith and you believe in God and you choose those actions to believe in God, and you stand strong on the day of judgment in the valley of the shadow of death, and you fear no evil, and you stand strong, and you stay silent and stoic and deep in your faith, and they can't do anything with you. So I had that happen to me yesterday, where they tried to cast a binding spell on me. I said nope, canceled that out before the spell had even ended, laughed at them, and then they started doing other weird stuff. Like they sat right next to me at the aisle, because I had an aisle chair. They sat in the aisle and put a toddler underneath me, just waiting for me to step on their kid. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, because they're sitting there playing with their two toddlers right next to me, and that's fine. You got kids around me. I love kids, right? It's awesome to have little kids running around, yelling, screaming, and doing silly stuff. But taking a toddler that's still rolling around on their belly, not quite crawling yet, and sticking it underneath a stranger seat, sticking the kiddo underneath a stranger seat. Sorry, I never should have called the kid it. That's one of the things that bothers me, is that having been around the upper echelon and a lot of psychopaths and people in the dark triad, which are what run the world, they call people it. And so I've been accustomed to having talk like them, and I fucking hate that. Excuse my language, but you should never call a person an it. That's part of the agenda too, with the liberal left and all the pronouns and bullshit. That's dehumanization. That has nothing to do with identifying your individuality or anything like that. That's just what you would call a shadow front. It's a veil of what the true purpose is that's to dehumanize people, so it's easier for the psychopaths and the people of the dark triad that treat people like objects. They call people it, like they're a thing. And so if you wonder why something as odd as having pronouns like they and fae and whatever, so people can run around and act like they're a fairy or whatever, which whatever, do what you're gonna do, but to push that upon other people so they have to call you that, the whole reason that they're enforcing that in such a manner, like it's supposed to be a social norm, has nothing to do with protecting a person's individuality. It has everything to do with hiding under the veil of the sociopaths, psychopaths, and narcissists of calling people it as objects. So this is what it means to be clear. When you become clear, you're able to step outside of the 3D realm. What this does is it makes it so everything that's casted upon you, all the cheap parlor tricks that the witches and warlocks put upon you, whether they be something as simple as a binding spell, or maybe they put something in your food, or they try to attack you through your eyes, with something that you see, it makes it null and void. So a lot of people don't know that, because you have to reach this level and you have to have the understanding to know what it means to be clear. It takes you out of the 3D realm and puts you in the 4D, 5D realm. And that's what it means to be when you're in this world, but you're not of it. It's something that shows what it means that you've stepped outside of the realm of 3D, of the physical realm around you. That creates quite a spiritual barrier around you. It makes you, just about invincible. So, you can kind of see what's coming, what they're trying to do, and you just laugh at them. I had a gentleman, see, this is the thing. These people that have been running around trying to block my destiny, they've been officially warned by some of the highest level people up there. They were officially warned in the last, 48 hours, 72 hours. And that they have to absolutely stop this, because at this point they're in deep shit. Something they shouldn't have done. They weren't supposed to do that yesterday or the day before, and they kept persisting. And now they're under judgment. They're unfortunately under judgment. And I tried to tell them not to do it again and again and again, because it's foolish, and eventually someone's going to catch up and see them. They saw it, right? They saw it. So it is what it is. It's when you try to turn the other cheek and warn them for their behavior, and they continue to do it, then that's on them, right? So when you're clear, you have a choice. You have a choice of whether you want to choose the dark side or the light side. And the light side always wins. It never fails. It never ever fails. Because what hides in the dark eventually comes to light. It's kind of the whole mentality. No debt in the universe goes unpaid. And with what I've done in this world and the things that I've done to help out and make this world a better place, there's a hefty debt to be paid to me. We'll put it that way. When you reach the level of clear too, you understand that material possessions don't really mean anything. They do, but they don't. They mean creature comforts. They mean ability to maneuver through the world in a way to make it better, to improve upon it, to make other people's lives better, more comfortable. And to overall, it's kind of a tool for control. A tool for not control over other people, but over your own life or whatever you want to choose to make better. When I think about things, the dark side likes to get a hold of money for power and control over other people, and in negative ways. We're talking about slavery. We're talking about Xinjiang province and turning people into, shirt factories, basically. That sort of thing. It's pretty horrible. To be clear is to be able to make your own choices, but you also have a divine blessing, something that I won't say out loud, but it gives you the power and the control over your own life, amongst other things. You can basically cancel out just about anything that the devil throws at you. Actually, anything. If you're a light creature and you've reached this level, it's not only that they can't stop you, it's that whatever they do bounces right back at them. That's kind of the scary thing for them, is that they keep trying to fight it and fight it and fight it, and they can't stop. They can't stop it. They have no way to stop something when it comes to the light side of things. They booby trap themselves, essentially. And so every time that they cast a binding spell, every time that they cast a see, this is the thing, is the person that tried to cast the binding spell was a minion of a greater narcissist. And the reason that he won't try to do that stuff on me is because he already knows that by doing that to me, he runs the risk of it backfiring and harming him. And that was the stupid thing, is that they were already warned, not by me, but higher order witches in their own group, in their own coven, said, do not cast spells on this guy. This guy is off limits. If you continue to do this, there will be severe consequences. And the idiot kid decided to start a new group of dancers, throw them on stage, and try to cast a binding spell on me. And that was the dumbest shit he could have done, because the leader of the group, the ringleader of that group, did hand signals and slit throat and stuck her tongue out sideways, which is like, it's one of my symbols, one of what you would call my call sign, that has been given to me by other people. And so that was basically her slashing her throat, showing my call sign at the same time, which is kind of like saying kill you type of mentality, which was dumb. And she had the same hairdo as the guy, where it's bleach blonde hair and it's layered downward. And you could obviously tell, because he's kind of like the ringleader of his group, whatever you want to call it. He's the leader of his group. The point of what I'm trying to say is that he obviously used her to come at me through triangulation. But it was a pathetic attempt, because, like I said, before the performance had even ended, I already canceled the binding spell. There's a bunch of chains in the background on the TV, and that's what those are. Whenever you see chains on the background of a performance, when it comes to these new age artistic musical shows, that's a binding spell. You've got a heart with a bunch of swords in it. That's like some type of love spell or damage to the heart spell. I'm not quite sure what that is. And then they've got the evil eye spell too, right? That's trying to fuck with someone's destiny or damage what they're trying to do. But anyways, those are kind of some common denominators that you'll see in the backdrop of some of these artistic shows. And they're meant to cast spells on the viewer, or just generally they're casting what you would call a larger, stronger spell, because the totems, or the idols, you call them, they're idols that people quote unquote worship. They're living idols. They're dancing and they're moving, and so they become more powerful being a living, breathing creature. And still when you look at it that way, it's something that doesn't scare me at all, because what they're doing has been understood for thousands of years. This is just a new age way. And my dad used to say that the computer is the devil, and what we're seeing is the image of the beast, and the number is 666. Well, when you look at your computer, you're looking at an image. And if you take the alphabet going from A to Z, and you go 1 to 26, A to Z, and you multiply each number by 6, A being 6, B being 12, C being 18. And if you're to take the word computer and you take the numbers of each, so C would be 18, because that's 6 by 3. It's the third number in the or the third letter in the alphabet. So that's 6 times 3 is 18. If you were to take the word computer and take all those numbers and then add it together, it makes 666. And me and my dad have been looking at that for decades now. We haven't found another word in the English language that will add up to 666 under those circumstances. And kind of an interesting numerology, but what it shows is that the number of the beast is 666, and the computer is probably the image of the devil. And that's why it's best to stay away from it. You can see very much so when you watch a performance and you look at it, and they're casting spells, and they're using people, what they call idols too. They call them idols. You can't get much more clear than that. So that's something that you look at on the other side. And you want to make sure that if you see something like that, you don't want to get caught under that spell, because that's what that is. That is a spell. That's what they're trying to do. They're casting a spell on their audience. They're draining energy from their audience. And, it's one thing if the audience is complicit in accepting the agreement. But that's one of the things about the devil, is that they like to lie, cheat, and steal. And they definitely like to get away with it without you knowing. And so that would be some of the higher order things that they try to do. They try to get in there. They try to cast spells on you without you knowing. And that's what they were trying to do with me last night. And maybe some other people too. Who knows? But I could tell that it was directed towards me, because me and that blonde kid kind of have some beef. And that's the reason that we have beef, is because, he got into my personal space and started copying me and doing things according to well, I would say something and he would start doing it, right? And so he's fairly well off, and I am okay. I could be doing better. I would say that I would need some help. I really do need some financial help when it comes down to it. I really ask for that sort of thing. I'm the kind of person who's independent on my own. But this guy, he's probably got so much money he could retire and not worry about anything for the rest of his life. And this is the kind of kid that wants to kick me down and treat me like shit, but he's copying me at the same time. And, it's a sad case. It's a sad case when you've got someone who's so mentally ill that they're doing these things to other people for no good reason, really no good reason. But yeah, to be clear, on the light side of things means that you step out of the 3D realm, which means that nothing on your five senses can be used against you when it comes to witchcraft. They don't have capability at that point. They lack the ability to cast spells using, hearing, sight, whether it be sounds or anything like that, smells, anything. So when it comes down to it, what it does is it basically makes them impotent in their power when you become clear. And I think that's why it's so important for so few people to have ever been at this level, because once you hit this level, you're basically unstoppable. There's not much they can really do with you at that point. So if you were a creature of darkness and you were to ever hit the level of clear, I have no idea what the light side would do to bind you and stop you, except you would need some higher order priests, higher order creatures of light working together to stop this warlock. But what they're trying to do, you can see what they're trying to do. They're trying to create basically a pseudo Lucifer, which is this is some pretty boy that's trying to cast these parlor tricks on other people, and that's all that it is. This witchcraft is essentially, to me now, it's nothing more than a cheap parlor trick. I gotta laugh about it really when it comes down to it, because at first it was formidable. At first I was going, wow, these are some tough things. This is some high level stuff. And then I'm looking at it, I'm going, this is not even affecting me anymore. This doesn't even, I can pull my energy back, hold on to it, and laugh at them. So it's a beautiful thing. All they've done is they've made me a lot stronger and a lot more formidable against their own nonsense, their own shenanigans. Anyways, I hope this makes sense. I hope you understand what it means to be more clear, and I hope you have a good day. Take care. Bye.